stalemate. Treasury Cabinet Secretary Professor Njuguna Ndung'u appeared before the committee after being invited last week to help the committee unlock the talk stalemate over measures to bring down the high cost of living. Let us now link up with our reporter David Muthoka, who's there covering it for us. David, good afternoon. Bring us up to date with regards to these talks.
Good afternoon, Fatia. And indeed, after a week-long stalemate, the talks between the government and the opposition have resumed for what is potentially the most important meeting for the members involved in the National Dialogue Committee talks. And yes, you have mentioned it right. Treasury Cabinet Secretary Professor Njuguna Ndung'u was last week invited to appear before the committee to provide solutions on how the Kenya Kwanza government can lower the runaway cost of living after the members of the National Dialogue Committee last week disagreed on the proposals that had been brought to the negotiating table by the opposition. And at around 12 p.m. midday, we saw the Treasury Cabinet Secretary make his way into this particular place where we are, which is actually not at Bomas where the talks are happening, but at a hotel along Mombasa Road here in Nairobi for one of the rare occasions where these talks happen outside Bomas. And he has been actually before the committee led by Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka and majority leader of the National Assembly, Kikuyu MP Kimani Ichung'wah, of course, providing those solutions and alternatives. And we expect after that meeting of the National Dialogue Committee and the Treasury Cabinet Secretary to hear whether the National Dialogue Committee has come to a consensus and has actually agreed on which proposals to include in its final report that will be, of course, forwarded to opposition leader Raila Odinga and President William Ruto for affirmation. And so we are waiting to see whether there is a deal or no deal, and actually that information will be coming our way in the next few hours. Of course, today being a make or break day for the National Dialogue Committee talks that are happening between the government and the opposition. And so, of course, just a recap of what has been happening for the past week. Indeed, there was a stalemate over the talks after the opposition proposed a number of things that it wants included into the draft report, of course, including the reduction by half of the value-added tax on petroleum products that right now is at 16%, and the opposition wants that very VAT reduced by half to 8%. And the second issue that it brought to the table was the scrapping off or the making voluntary of the 1.5% housing levy. And the government side came out, of course, fiercely insisting that those two levies were untouchable. So we expect to see whether there will be a deal or no deal. Remember, these talks had been given a 60-day window. That window closes on Saturday, and the committee is expected to actually have come with at least a draft report that it has agreed upon, and that will be looked at by the two principals in the talks, and that is President Ruto and opposition leader Raila Odinga. So today is indeed a very important day for the talks. We are here just waiting to see which proposals have been brought to the table by the Treasury Cabinet Secretary, Professor